Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the post blue-white scrimmage. This is serious. Cowboy time, Mike. So, yeah, man. DallasCowboys.com clickbait everybody with the scrimmage. Mike, no footage. They didn't show anything. What was your take on that?
As a fan, it's very frustrating. We haven't seen football, since the Washington Redskins Week 17 in 2019. So just to get a glimpse of something, it was like, yeah, let's go footballs. And Mike McCarthy, Jerry Jones, these guys said no, and it's understandable, right? I mean, these guys didn't even have nameplates or jersey numbers, and
yeah, it was all strategy, but
it was all strategy for sure. Yeah.
Like you said, it was very disappointing, no doubt. All of us are clamoring for football, anything, but we do have some news and notes that were happening off camera, while they were feeding us these rerun interviews of the players. There was action on the field and some news to report, guys. So not to worry, we got you covered. All right, we got the latest news here, and we're gonna open it up here. This is coming from Michael Gelkin, and this is a lot of what's going on, behind the scenes, while we're getting the reruns. So let's take a look at these notes, guys. Here we go. This comes from Michael Gelkin, and he says 2 weeks from season opener, the expectation is unchanged. The Cowboys' first team offensive line should be left tackle Tyron Smith, Connor Williams, Looney, Martin, and La'el Collins. All are on the field now as team does its pregame warm-up script. So, Mike, it's kind of what we've been talking about here. The last couple of weeks, the vets are really have the upper hand on a lot of these positions. There's not so much a true camp battle we're finding out, especially, for the offensive line. Maybe for, like, the wide receivers there is, but here looks like it's the Collins and Looney. Mike, what's your thoughts on what it's looking like now?
This was expected, right? Because right now, one thing the Cowboys got to focus on is, the veterans, because that's really what's going to help this football team. And let, Tyler from Wisconsin, develop and the battle of the Connors of McGovern and Williams. Looks like Williams, coming back from the ACL was, coming in here and still taking its righteous place, and it's not surprising. But could there be changes throughout the season? I'm expecting that, Joe. What are you expecting?
The only thing that'll change will be from injury, and Connor Williams has shown he's been getting injured the last couple of seasons, so he's coming off the ACL injury. So we'll see how that looks. So if anything, I think Connor McGovern will have some opportunity this season to get some legitimate snaps. Joe Looney, pretty durable. He doesn't get dinged up, but we'll see how the season plays out. We are seeing a lot of these soft tissue injuries, which we really talked about before all this started, Mike. We talked about how you just thrusting these elite players into these roles, these very arduous the thing that they're doing on the field. Your body has to be at a top-notch level, and a lot of these guys are still getting into it. So it's interesting to see, but I think that's how it's going to roll out. The other news here that we want to talk about, another question that a lot of fans have been talking about, and for great reason, and that's the punter, right? Chris Jones. Like, why did we cut Kai Forbath, but we kept the slumping Chris Jones? So we have a note here from the scrimmage, and we're going to take a look at this. All right, this comes from Michael Gelkin as well. Cowboys punter Chris Jones averaged 41.6 yards and 37 net yards in attempt 2019, both career lows. He just put those numbers to shame at AT&T Stadium, showing far more power in the leg. Jones looks healthy after sports hernia. Back injury quietly ailed him last year. So, Mike, apparently this was an issue that was holding him back last year. He had a hernia and a back injury, so lots to work through. Career lows, as Gokin said here. What's your thoughts here on where we're at with Chris Jones? Excuse me.
It's a great sign, right? The Punter could be coming back to full form, and that sports hernia, that back, that's all right here in the abdomen area. That's huge, for a punter, because that's a lot of bending and stretching, just to punt a football 50 plus yards. And it's good that he's coming back. And I think we talked about him, a couple of shows ago. And I said, they John Fossil really believes in something when it comes to Chris Jones, and that's why he's here. And LP Ladouceur, Chris Jones, Greg Zuerlein, these are the guys. This is the special teams unit right here. This is the main three, and it's great because, like I said too, hopefully we don't need to use Chris Jones because we're scoring touchdowns. We're converting third downs into first downs. So, if he ain't taking the field as much, it's a great sign that our offense is moving the ball.
Yeah, indeed. It's definitely good news to hear. It's not like we're hearing him struggle. Now, if the struggles were still happening, then yeah, it's got to be, man, we're gonna have to do something with the waiver wire or something like that. But definitely great news from the punter. So he was there. Now, here's something interesting from Todd Archer. This is not really being reported by anybody but him, from what I could tell. And this is something to take a look at. All right. Let's take a look at this real quick. And this is in regards to Amari Cooper, okay? So for the second straight practice, it does not appear Amari Cooper is doing much of anything. He's in full pads, but have not seen him run routes as of yet. We'll ask McCarthy post-practice what the issue is. Apparently there's something going on here that hasn't really been reported. He's not out there second straight practice, not doing anything. Is this a vet rest, or is this something that we might need to be concerned about?
Well, you have to be concerned about it. Amari Cooper was pulling himself out of football games last year. Really wasn't showing up on and road games. Just got a massive extension, and all players are out there full go, pedal to the metal. And your newly signed wide receiver needs to be, putting the ankle to the test. Because I don't want him pulling, games out like he did against the Jets, and then we go take a big crap over there. So, I'm going to be tough on Amari. He just got that extension. It's time for him to get that ankle healed up and play some ball.
Yeah. So it's interesting to watch. We'll see what happens there with him. Hopefully it's nothing major. Hopefully for me it's just a vet rest and that kind of thing. Jerry Jones said that they are coming down. This is the final week. And really, you have like 2 or 3 days, and then you're already making your cuts. So it's going to be interesting to see where the cuts are coming. We really didn't get enough from the scrimmage to really say, who's going to take these final spots. So in my mind, I have a feeling that this staff already kind of knows who it's going to be. They're just kind of just trying to get through these last practices without major injuries, right?
Yeah.
And speaking of that, we did come away a little bit dinged up here, and mainly it's from Xavier Woods. He got a little dinged up. So take a look at this note here. This is from Michael Gelkin. Xavier Woods went to the locker room. He didn't need help getting to the locker room, so that's a good sign. But Xavier Woods a little bit dinged up, Mike, and he didn't come back to that. I mean, he did come back, but he came back in sweat. So thoughts on the safety position with Xavier Woods?
Yeah, definitely cause for concern there. Guys on a contract year, high expectation is there for him, to exceed, at that free safety position. And what was kind of funny to me, Joe, was that Clinton Dix came in behind him. That was pretty different because Darian Thompson's doing work at the strong safety position and winning that cap battle. But at the end of the day, I think, Xavier Woods got to get healthy. It's his contract year. This is where Cowboy players and really a lot of NFL players make their money, is in that fourth year of the deal. And but he looked optimistic. He looked happy. Later reports showed that. So, hopefully it's nothing too serious, because in 2 weeks, Joe, we got the LA Rams.
Yeah, it sounded like it's not too bad. Initially, it did sound like something was going on. David Hellman here saying Xavier Woods walking into the room with a grimace on his face. Couldn't tell it was. He took the helmet off, obviously, because they didn't have the jersey numbers. So he didn't know what really happened to him. But like we said, he did come back. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that. We got a little bit of an update here from the backup position at the tight end position. We're talking about Blake Jarwin, Blake Bell, the bulldozer, and Dalton Schultz. So this is some pretty good information here as far as we're talking about Dalton Schultz. Take a look at this. This time, Dalton Schultz logged 117 offensive snaps last season. He could triple that figure in 2020. Seems to have found his footing over the last week of camp. Would expect him to outsnap Blake Bell on offensive behind starter Blake Jarwin, Mike. So good to hear from me. I almost felt that Schultz was maybe the third tight end. You weren't hearing too much, but according to this, we're hearing that he is moving up in the depth chart. Looks like he's solidified himself as the number 2. What's your thoughts on Dalton Schultz here, Mike?
Yeah, you want Dalton Schultz to do good. I mean, he was a high draft pick. What did we get him in the 4th round? About 3 years ago. You want Dalton Schultz to come in here and play. And, Jason Witten isn't taking all the bulk of the snaps, so he actually gets a chance, to move up depth charts. And Blake Bell really isn't, a pass-happy, tight end like Jarwin is. So, it's all about opportunity. And, Dalton Schultz is taking advantage of that. And that's exactly what you want from Dalton Schultz. But he had a horrible. To start camp, he wasn't good. I mean, he was dropping a lot of balls. But he's working his way back into this fold with the new coaching staff. You hear the players talk about all the time. It's a breath of fresh air, and Dalton Schultz is taking his fresh air for sure.
Yeah, fresh air is always needed. Now, talking about a rookie that has really, really come down here lately, has really stepped it up and really solidifying a position on the roster. I'm talking about Bradley Anae. All right, so got some news here from the Annihilator, David Hellman. Back of the depth chart guys have been working on these last few possessions. I do believe I just saw Bradley Anae sack around the left end. I have no idea if he sacked Danucci or Clayton Thorson. So it's good to see that you're hearing that Bradley Anae continuing to stack practices with sacks and would-be sacks. So a pressure player. We broke this down in the lab. That 10-yard split is elite. It was up there with a lot of these top end, pass rushers coming out of the combine. Bradley Anae fits that. So you're seeing that, you're continuing to see this on the field, and he's, bringing that work ethic from Utah here to the Cowboys. I think we're going to have some good luck here from Bradley Anae. Mike, what's your thoughts on that?
29 and a half sacks right there at Utah, Joe. And, I mean, he has the potential. I mean, his arm length isn't that impressive when you're looking at left ends or right ends. But, his first step is a difference maker in it. And but that's why I believe personally that he fell so far in the draft, because of his arm length, right? It's not that traditional left end, right end arm length. And but, again, we're talking about taking advantage of opportunities. Training camp is a job interview. And it's a long process of a job interview to make a 53, 55-man roster. And, limited snaps, you won't, that job interview could get shortened. But, again, taking advantage of opportunity. And I want to know who he was up against. I'm sure it wasn't Tyron Smith, Lyle Collins, these guys. But it's good to see that, there's some production there.
Yeah. So it's good. So he's coming off the left end. So it'll be interesting to see who that was. Indeed, good that he's getting around whoever it was, and just continuing to hear good news out of Bradley Anae. Another player that got hurt was Ventell Bryant, Mike. So we got a little bit of news here from that. David Hellman. Ventell Bryant is down with a full athletic training staff. He appears to be in a lot of pain, or wanting to see what the full report was on that. We talked about Xavier Woods getting hurt earlier in the broadcast, and we're talking about this with Ventell Bryant. This is a little bit more serious. He needed help getting off the field, so we'll wait and see on this. It's very unfortunate. we saw him as a guy that could sneak on here as a special teamer, Mike. You and I talk about how he finished last season, pretty strong. Had a touchdown, a gunner, did pretty good in special teams, and now that's kind of up in the air now, Mike. What's your thoughts on Ventell Bryant possibly missing some significant time at the minimum, it sounds like?
Huge blow. I mean, I think Ventell Bryant is our best special teams cover guy. Running down the field on punts and kickoffs. Huge. Hopefully this injury ain't, major where he is missing time, because, I really felt like this guy was a huge piece of our special teams and could probably fill in for some depth there at the wide receiver position. But it stinks, man. There's high hopes for him, and I heard he was doing really well in training camp, taking advantage of those reps, and hopefully it ain't too severe.
Yeah, and that's just what the Cowboys are dealing with, and the league. Everybody's dealing with a lot of attrition on the roster. It's going to be about who can get through it. So we'll update you guys once we find out some more on Ventell Bryant on the severity. But with one door closing, it possibly opens it up for somebody else. Could it be one of these other young wide receivers that are able to make a push? So we'll keep an eye on that there. So that's an interesting little note there from Ventell Bryant.
And just real quick, Joe, we got the press conference going on with Mike McCarthy. Clarence Hill on Twitter saying Mike McCarthy said one reason to keep the names and numbers off players' jersey for the televised practice was to avoid exposing our younger players to the evaluation process. 31 teams with the final cuts looming on Saturday.
Yeah, and the thing about that is, I don't know, because it was more of a, maybe it was more of they didn't want the reporters on site reporting who was doing what. That's why the information that we got was a little bit limited, but we were able to grab some nuggets for you guys. That's why you guys are here checking us out tonight. We do appreciate everybody that's on here in the chat and watching us live. We will take comments and questions here shortly, guys. But let's continue on with the updates. Here's an interesting note, Mike. This kind of went under the radar, but I think it does have some validity as far as something that could be important as the season goes. And we're talking about Mike Nolan, and I saw this live too. You guys may have seen this too. He was in the coach's booth, all right? Kellen Moore on the sideline, your offensive coordinator. Mike Nolan, defensive coordinator, up in the booth. I feel like this is more of a McCarthy preference. His defensive coordinators, for the most part, have all been in the booth when he was the coach there for the Packers. So what's your thoughts here on Mike Nolan being up in the booth, Mike?
Well, when Cowboys switched to a 4-3, Monty Kiffin was up in the booth and Rod Marinelli was down on the field. And I think it gives the defensive coordinator the advantage of personnel looks. When they're watching tape, he has a better breakdown because he's seen it first in all the 22 films. But at the end of the day, it's all about trusting your coordinators down on the field, keeping that communication with Mike Nolan while he's up there in the booth, and it's getting the right personnel on the field at the right time. That's what I'm thinking, Joe.
Yeah, I think that definitely is a part of it as well. And let's remember, Jim Tomsula will be on the sideline. This guy is a little bit of an enforcer himself. So I think you have a good, equilibrium with Tomsula, on the ground there. He's got a really good type of attitude. And the players are really, they really like him. And he kind of has that edge to him, Tomsula. So kind of reminds me of like a Parcells guy type of player. Type of coach. So, serious, but he'll teach you at the same time. So, interesting little note there.
And then real quick on this end, Jane Slater reporting, Mike McCarthy isn't a fan of the fake crowd noise. Pump it in through the stadium, Joe. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, fake crowd noise is it's something that is going to happen. It's going to be a thing around the league. Especially for the stadiums that don't have crowds. And we already know that there's not going to be a crowd for the opening day. We're the California, LA. They already said There will be no fans at SoFi Stadium, and they mentioned it on Hard Knocks as well. So they're going to have to probably pump in some noise in there. James Slater did mention that the crowd noise sounded more like white noise, like, just like a static, like when you turn the TV on channel 3 and there's nothing there but just static noise. She said it didn't sound good. So we'll see. We'll see what the NFL does with this, but it sounds like that's what they're going to do. Definitely, we prefer fans, but with everything that's going on right now, I think everybody's kind of leaning towards the side of caution. But that's my take. Yeah,
I don't think I'd be a fan of the crowd noise either, because fans bring a different kind of energy to it. And it's loud. It's loud in AT&T Stadium. And I think the Cowboys have the capacity of 44,000 fans, and they got to make up for about 97,000 capacity. That's usually what it is on Sunday, Thursdays, and Mondays. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting, but I'm not a fan of the artificial crowd noise.
Yeah. Pat Doney has a note here talking about early on in the scrimmage. Both Tony Pollard and Michael Gallup with early touchdowns in the scrimmage. Offense looks crisp. All right, so you do like to hear that. You're continuing to hear about Gallup. You're continuing to hear about Tony Pollard. Mike, what is your gut feeling on what these two cats are going to do for the Cowboys this season? You got to feel really good. What's your take on these two guys?
I mean, you got to get these guys on the field, especially Tony Pollard. I mean, the guy, he's elusive. He knows where the first down markers are at all times. For a guy his size, he don't play to that size. He probably plays like a 220 back instead of a 215 back, 210 back. And his speed. I mean, you could tell the difference between him and Zeke on that speed. It's crazy, and you need all the weapons you can get, and that's exactly what Tony Pollard is. That Tennessee barbecue was paying off.
Yeah. That's they're doing their thing there. So Michael Gelkin follows up here. Even though no jersey, there's no missing Tony Pollard. Flew out in the running out, best route runner out of the backfield too. He looks poised to pick up this season where he left off. So more what we're talking about, Tony Pollard. More Pollard means more opportunities for this offense to really get down the field. We struggled so much last season, being predictable and then not mixing it up. I think McCarthy is going to mix it up with Kellen Moore. Tony Pollard, I think, is going to be a big piece of that puzzle. So you just continue. Tony Pollard is having a very, very strong camp. It seems like every practice his name is coming up on the good side of things. So very, very good news, man. Talking about Tony Pollard, Tony P, Flash, and Thunder, like I said.
I like that.
That's what it is. That's what it is, baby. That's what it is. David Hellman, I love watching Tony Pollard so much. He just broke some poor guy's ankles at the corner and turned a 3 to 4 yard gain off tackle into a 12 to 15 yard touchdown, Mike. So the other thing here, I know you mentioned this. Tony Pollard was like number one, with yards after the catch, elusiveness rating. He was like number one in the league, right? So
yeah,
you're continuing to see that. He can turn like a short yardage into something long. He, to me, has that home run ability. People want to talk about Ezekiel Elliott's, 20-plus yard numbers kind of going down for whatever reason. He can still be a home run threat, but if you're talking about somebody that's going to really break away with the speed, it's Tony Pollard, right, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why it's a 1-2 punch. That's why it's lightning and thunder. You know what I'm saying? And you look at the league and you look at a two-headed monster, a three-headed monster like Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara, right? I mean that's the perfect comparison to Zeke and Tony Pollard, and it worked there in New Orleans, and I don't see why it wouldn't work in a Kellen Moore, Mike McCarthy offense.
It's going to work big time. I think the Cowboys are going to have a very prolific offense. They're definitely going to have that opportunity. Mike Leslie followed up here with another Tony Pollard note. Tony Pollard showing off the speed and elusiveness, getting to the corner. It looked like he scored, but the official marked him down at the 2. So, yeah, just more of the same. more of the same. Tony Pollard really showed up, really showing up this camp and backing it up. You know, this isn't one of those camp all-stars who's going to show up in camp and then take it off the pedal. With Tony Pollard, you know that he's bringing it with a purpose of really carrying it into the season, right, Mike?
Absolutely. I mean, in the interview I watched from DallasCowboy.com with Tony Pollard, he says, "I'm hungry." And that's the mindset you want. This guy's going into his second year. I talked about the fresh start with the new head coach, same coordinator, a little bit different playbook, and not too much different, especially when it comes to running schemes. But that opportunity, Joe, to get out in the slot, get out on a five wide front, and go make plays. And when Tony Pollard is talking about being hungry, he means it. And he's putting his best foot forward and really, really turning heads and picking up where he left off, plus some.
Yeah, picking up where he left off, and it's really an interesting thing, Mike. Now, let me get your take on this. Where we're at, this is the final week of practice and everything. In your estimation, what is your gut take on the bubble players? Just give me your take on who do you think is on the edge that might make it, or have you seen enough from some players to really say that this guy's probably not going to make it, but this guy will make it?
Ooh, Sean Lee. I'm going there, guys. I get it. Sean Lee might not make it, and if he does, he won't be a starter. And Francis Bernard, he was out there with the ones. When what they seen or what they showed, they did show Francis Bernard with the ones, big 44 out there with the ones, and Sean Lee over there still injured. So Francis Bernard's my guy. Sean Lee might not make it. Best ability is availability, and if Sean Lee's sitting on the sideline, sure, he can coach young guys all day long, but they might reserve him to be that emergency ace. But how long can it be the emergency ace till they're back into linebacker depth issues, Joe?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt. Let me see what else we got here. I had another note here that I was looking for. Let me see if I can find it. Where did it go? What about on the offense, Mike? While I look for this note here, give me your take on an offensive player.
Oh man, let's see. A bubble that might not make it. John Villa Johnson. I'll go wide receiver. Or excuse me, no, I won't even use him. I'll use Devin Smith. Devin Smith. He might not make this team, and we haven't heard anything out there. Parker's doing good things. We just talked about Bryant, who just got hurt. Cedric Wilson's doing good things. Devin Smith, he's a vet, and we talked about vets have the opportunity here, have the upper hand. And Devin Smith, I haven't heard a lot about him. Is he really taking advantage of these opportunities? That would be my bubble player right there. Devin Smith.
Devin Smith, yeah. So I agree, man. Devin Smith, not hearing too much. Now, a guy that is quietly gaining some traction, and a guy that I really have put, I thought he would have had, 1 foot in the grave by now. But we're talking about the resurrection of Noah Brown, Mike. David Hellman, excuse me, talks about this opening drive the Cowboys had in the scrimmage. That guides the offense 65 yards in 8 plays. Started with a completion to Lamb, then completed 5 straight to tight ends, most of them to Jarwin. So you love that. Apparently Jarwin had a big scrimmage as well. Quick dump off. Then he finished it off by finding Noah Brown for a nice TD, 25-yard flag route. So a very interesting note here. Noah Brown coming on strong here at the very end of this deal. What's your gut take? Do you think Noah Brown is able to snatch maybe that 5th or maybe 6th if they go 6 deep? What's your thought on Noah Brown, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. Before I get into Noah Brown here, just to update you on Xavier Woods. It looks like he has a strained growing. Not considered to be a long-term injury. That's from Jane Slater. But Noah Brown, Noah Brown, he changed his body up. Last year he was more looking like a tight end. And he changed his body up. He's looking more like a wide receiver, and hopefully he can contribute to special teams, because that's where the money maker is going to be at for fourth, fifth string wide receivers, is that special team spot. So hopefully he can go in there and play that. But that chemistry with Dak, he's been on this football team a long time. Just injuries has plagued him, and that's why he hasn't really been in for regular season games. But it's good to see 85 out there, getting that rapport with Dak Prescott, Joe.
Yeah, no doubt, man. The touchdown that he had to Noah Brown was pretty impressive. They do have it online available. I wasn't able to grab that, but Noah Brown making some noise. And if Ventell is out, for some time, Noah Brown might sneak on there, man, and show what he can do. Now, can he stay healthy? That's That's it. The huge question with Noah Brown is his health. You don't want to make the team and then show up and get hurt and you're on IR again for the year. That's the one thing that has driven me crazy about Noah Brown. He seems to get hurt and then he's mothballed for the whole season. So good news, very good news, no doubt, from Noah Brown. So let's see if he can keep it going, man.
That's what you want, man. That's what you want.
That's what we want to hear. All right, guys, we'll take a couple of questions here. We covered a lot of the big notes of the day. X Woods, Mike gave that update, a growing injury. So, we'll see how that comes along. Will he be ready in 2 weeks? That'll be big. That'll be very big. So
keep an eye on that for sure.
Yeah. So he's definitely done. We won't see him the rest of the way. He's done. So you're probably going to see, a combination of Clinton Dix. That's what they did when X Woods went out. They put Darian Thompson in there with Clinton Dix. So I think that's a little bit of an interesting note as well. So would that be the pairing that they would go with? Something to keep an eye on. Dallas Cowboys fan 1980 in the house. We do appreciate you, brother. Thanks for showing up, man. Always glad to see you out here in the chat box, man. Make sure you guys hit up Dallas Cowboys fan 1980. Give him a follow. Very authentic, very, very passionate Cowboys YouTuber 1980. Love that guy, man.
Yeah, go subscribe so you can feel the power.
Indeed. How was Aldon Smith? Didn't hear much about it. I'm not even sure he was out there. I know he was. Griffin making some moves out there. Devin Smith's a beast. He's had his days. I don't know if he's a beast, but he's had
his play.
Yeah.
I don't think he had his days because he's been hurt most of his career. He had his play against the Washington Redskins on the deep ball.
Darwin met all out this year. Darwin, yeah. So Jarwin, right? So going with Jarwin. So Jarwin, he's having a really good, strong camp as well, making plays, as that wide tight end. But they did mention that his blocking has improved in camp. So good to hear about that. Good to hear about that indeed.
Yeah, you do. You want your tight end one to go out there and block. And yeah, the seam routes are great. All that's good, but go out there and go block somebody, Jarwin. Jason Witten, that's why he's going to be a Hall of Famer, because he could do both. And don't hold, block. That's all that's all we're asking of you, Jarwin.
Yeah, that's true. Mike Oliver with a follow-up question here. Got to use my boy TP20 more this year, you think? Yeah, definitely. I think when McCarthy, it will happen. They talked about using him last year with Garrett, and we never saw it. So I think they're definitely going to put him in there. McCarthy's all about mismatches, so you're going to see CeeDee Lamb make a lot of plays. Tony Pollard is a mismatch nightmare for, linebackers. They don't want to cover that speed. We're going to be putting guys on their heels, man. I can't wait for that.
Yeah. Explosive plays coming from TP20.
I don't think CD played much, mostly number 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so a lot of the backup receivers playing. Noah Brown really the one that really stood out today the most from what we can tell from right now. Jane Slater got the T. I love Jane Slater. That's my girl. I love her to death, man.
And she takes care of the players, too. That's what I like. She takes care of her players that report her the stuff, because that it does happen, and it's all about a respect thing. And Jane Slater has that fine line of respect in her players that give her some info.
Yeah. This Juan Ramos, these scrimmages to determine who make the team. So from what we can tell, this was more of a glorified practice. I wouldn't even say it was a scrimmage. They didn't really, do a lot of the full-blown, 11 on 11. It was a lot of positional things. But it definitely is a piece of the puzzle, Juan, no doubt. So, but I think from fans' point of view, we kind of thought there was going to be more to this. More riding on the line with this, which it obviously is. It's all about opportunity and the reps. The reps are limited, so definitely you got to show out. We got an Earl Thomas sighting in the chat box. It was going to happen eventually. Here we go. Sal Limon. Why not bring Earl Thomas on board if Xavier Woods is already getting hurt? Our secondary should elevate more. Let's give Earl a chance. Mike, what's your thoughts here on this?
I thought we could maybe avoid this, but he asked it, so let's answer it. Thank you for your question, by the way, because it's all about culture. I mean, getting in a fight with your teammates, shuffles, all that happens, yes, but to punch your teammate in the face and doing your own thing, your own defensive plays on the field and not really, obeying those coaches and the play call for your teammates. Look how he got cut from his team. He was a huge liability, detrimental to the team cut. And do you really want to bring, that cancer to the locker room? And yes, I'm using that word because if he just tarnished a Ravens locker room in a year and a half, just think of what he can do in the Cowboys in one season.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think that's where it's at right now. If they wanted to sign him, I think it would have happened already by now. They had, it's already been almost a week now. So the fact that nothing has happened yet, and no other team has signed him either. So let's remember that too. So, I think word has gotten around the league that he could be a bit of a locker room issue. Not to say that the Cowboys might not kick the tires on. You never know, but
they could, yeah.
Yeah, the fact that nobody else is bringing them in, it's a little bit of a red flag as well. So we'll see.
Detrimental to the team is that's a huge cut. That's a big target to have on your back.
Yeah. Appreciate the question, Saul. Appreciate you, brother. Let's see what else we got here in the chat box. Appreciate everybody that has joined us live here, kicking it with us for a little bit while we break down the news from the scrimmage. Rico Dotto, Darius Anderson. I didn't really hear much on these two players. Now, what I have heard so far in camp is Rico Dotto is really having a really strong camp. So, it's probably no surprise. Like I said, they didn't want to show off some of these young guys because they're going to want to sneak some of these onto the practice squad. And if it were me, I'm thinking if they don't carry one of these running backs, if they don't go deep at running back, they're going to probably want to keep one or two of these guys. And Rico Dowdle, I think, has the edge right now. All right. So that's where we're at.
Especially if you're going to be using TP out and like the slot and stuff more, you got to protect yourself because the injuries can happen at any play.
Yeah, for sure. But I do like those players, man. I think they're doing pretty good. Don't sleep on Diggs. Yeah, I don't think anybody's sleeping on him at this point, Ronnie. I think everybody is hip to him. A first-round talent. We stole him in the second round. I like what Michael Irvin said, Mike, when they asked about I don't know if you caught that, but he was talking about talking to CeeDee Lamb about falling to the Cowboys and to 17 as if he was falling down the draft board. He said, "Don't call it falling. Say you were placed." You were placed here with the Cowboys. You were placed here in Dallas, right? I love that. And that's what I feel about Trayvon Diggs. I think he was placed here. I wouldn't say Trayvon Diggs fell to us. I like Michael Irvin's take on that. He was placed here for a reason. Man, I mean, Trayvon Diggs is having a hell of a camp, So, definitely I don't think anybody's sleeping on him at this point, Ronnie. If they are, it's probably the opposing offenses, and they're going to be in trouble.
You got to respect it. And Jerry Jones spoke highly of Trayvon Diggs too. You know, they seen that he used to play wide receiver in a corner's body, and that's why he's a Cowboy. And yeah, no one's sleeping on Diggs.
Yeah. Great comment there. Appreciate you, brother. Let's see what else we got in here, guys. I saw something here. Sorry, these are kind of passing through. I'm trying to catch up, guys. Let's see what we got here. Mike Oliver, we keep Bernard just because Lee may get hurt. Yeah, so definitely Bernard is not going anywhere. I don't think you want to even put him up on the waiver wire to try to sneak him on. I think he's made this team, Mike. I think if anything, Justin March is the one that's probably on the outs. Bernard is going to be that guy.
I mean, you know, from what they did show, I seen Francis Bernard, who, you know, we talked highly over the last couple of weeks here on the Frisco report. You know, Francis Bernard isn't going anywhere. Huge steal, a huge Utah steal right there.
Yeah, huge undrafted addition. I love it, man. I love that, man. So that's great. Let's see what else we got in here. Bahama Boys, appreciate the donation, bro. X Woods is injured. ET time. Yeah, so we kind of just touched on that, Bahama, and basically it's just, you know, it's kind of a wait and see deal. But from all indications, it doesn't look like it's gonna happen. Now, if there was a major injury, maybe they would consider it. But you know, right now it's looking like the Cowboys and other teams around the league are not interested right now. So we'll see what happens, though. Appreciate the question.
Thank you, Bahama Boys. I've been to the Bahamas. You ever been to the Bahamas, Joe?
I have.
Paradise Islands is where I was at. Nice place.
Have you been to Jamaica?
You know what? That's on the wifey's to go list.
Mine too, man. I've been wanting to go out there for quite some time, man. I want to eat some of that authentic Jamaican food. I've heard nothing but good things about it. I want to make a trip out there, man. I do want to get out there.
Is it spicy? What? I've never even. What kind of culture is it? Is it spicy food? What kind of food is it?
I wouldn't say it's spicy. They some of their dishes have some kick. You know, there's some restaurants around here that are pretty good, that are actually Jamaican owned, that are really good. But to get it there on site, you know what I mean? It would be awesome. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see what else we got here. Got good stuff here. Winter final cuts. Richard Hernandez, great question. So cuts are on the 5th, okay, September 5th, which is, you know, just a few days away. We're already coming up on September. So
Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday. And then the waiver wires on the 6th. So after the 6th, you got to have your everything in place. You know, who passed through waivers, your practice squad, you got to have that in ready to go for the 6th. So cuts on the 5th, get your waivers and everything taken care of, and you know, have everything finalized for the season, September 6th. So it's right around the corner. So I don't really see. You're probably going to see more vet days, I think, this final week. And like I said, Mike, I think they kind of already have a feeling of who's going to make this roster. And now it's more about who do they want to sneak onto the practice squad. For me, like you said, I think that's why they didn't show anything, right? The scrimmage was super condensed, super, you know, close in. All you saw were helmets running across the screen. I mean,
helmets and visors. That's it.
Helmets and visors, right? And no jersey numbers. So it's for a good reason. You know, they do have young players that they have in mind that they want to bring back. Rico Dowdle, Darius Anderson, you know, Aaron Parker, wide receivers. Some of these young wide receivers that are on here. Some of the young safeties, cornerbacks. You know, Westry, these kinds of guys. I mean, and we are going to lose some good players. There's no doubt. Like we said, this roster is getting so stacked that from here on out, I think you're just going to continue to have to cut good players that could start on other teams. You know, I think that's where this team is at right now.
But the approach they had, you know, because the media isn't allowed to talk about younger players, The media isn't allowed to really break down a lot of plays. Just Dak threw a touchdown pass to Noah Brown. I mean, that's the only thing they can report. So Mike McCarthy's done a good job protecting those guys for a 16-man practice squad and just to stash them there.
Yeah, no. Mike McCarthy has been outstanding. It's everything you want in a coach. Jerry Jones mentioned it just the other day that when you're talking to Mike, you know you're talking to a head coach, which was that resonated so much. Like, okay, well, what was what was Garrett, man? Garrett was on the job training, man. On the job training.
And I don't know if you listened to Noah Brown's interview or not, but Noah Brown said the players have more say-so than the previous era. Ain't that crazy? Like, you wouldn't listen to your players?
No, yeah, and I remember we did hear about that, you know, especially from players that left. They said, you know, Beasley and Beasley and Dez, you know, we'll talk about that for the offense. And it kind of came to fruition that there were issues there, you know, and for all the flack that Dez gets, there was some truth to a lot of stuff he was talking about, man. So, you know, it's a crazy thing. But, you know, hindsight is 20/20, as they say. But we got our new coach now. That's all that matters.
Yeah, that's all that matters, man. And it's good. You know, not only is it a breath of fresh air for the players, it's for the fans too. I hopped on Madden 21 Thursday night at 11 o'clock p.m. Central Time just to go play a game so I can see a different head coach on the sidelines. It's huge, man. It's fantastic.
Well, appreciate the donation, Saul. Appreciate you, bro. Love that there. Yater Bernard, stud in the middle. Yeah, Bernard is going to give us some really good depth, and I think Fossil loves him on special teams. This guy he looks like a lion with that hair. Kind of reminds me of a Palomalu. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, with that hair, yeah.
Yeah, I want to say that they might even be from the same type of background. You know, I could be wrong, but I know that you know, the NFL has a lot of players from that Pacific area. You know what I mean?
Yeah. From Francis Bernard, heck of a steal from Utah for sure.
How many can go on the game day roster, Mike? Is it still 46, or did it go to 48?
That's a good question, actually.
Yeah, I know it was 46, and I don't know if the new CBA, if they adjusted it, you know, because I know that because of COVID and this type of thing, they may have upped it. We'll have to get back to you on that, Ninja Alia. Reggie Robinson do? And didn't get much out of him from today's scrimmage, but what you are hearing is that they have, sounds like for all intents and purposes, they have moved him to safety. They asked Linguist about it, and he's working there in the safety position. So it'll be interesting to see about Reggie Robinson's future. I think that he will be in the mix. You know, we have Xavier Woods on a 1 year, Clinton Dix on a 1 year. And then after that, you have Donovan Wilson and Reggie Robinson in the mix. You know, and obviously Worley is also getting snaps there at safety as well. But looks like they want to take a closer look at Reggie Robinson at the safety position. I'm guessing free safety, for my guess.
Yeah, you know, Mike McCarthy, by the way, it's 48 guys this year for the active roster, not 46. It is 48. I just looked into that. But Reggie Robinson, Mike McCarthy, he wants versatile guys. And it's a lot. And yes, Jason Garrett wanted versatile guys too, but it's a lot different because Mike McCarthy is going to use them in the best situation to be successful. So if Reggie Robinson's struggling to play in the box, Reggie Robinson's not going to be in the box where he's missing tackles. And that's the difference between versatile players under one era and a new era. And Reggie Robinson, he's going to do whatever he can to make this team. He's a young guy, 4th-round draft pick. He's going to come and start, you know, doing good things for us. No matter where he's at, because that's just the work ethic that he has.
Yeah, that's what it is, man. That's Cowboys 1980 has a great question here. With all the positive feedback we're getting in camp from the position, you guys think the Cowboys will keep 3 quarterbacks? I do. Yeah, I do. I think DiNucci has really shown really good, and Thorson as well. You know, I think you probably want to try to sneak him on. to the practice squad. They say Thorson has possibly the strongest arm of the group, which is a bit surprising. But Mike, Ben DiNucci showing, that he's got the wheels. He's very mobile. I think of the of the four that are out there, DiNucci really has the physical traits to really execute this type of offense. With the RPOs, run and tuck with the ball. So I do, Mike. What's your thoughts? You think they keep 3?
Yeah, I do think they keep 3, and Ben DiNucci is your third guy. Mike McCarthy has a lot of ties to Ben DiNucci. Obviously they drafted him. They didn't want to take the risk of him, hitting the undrafted free agency portion, so they took that in the 7th round. And Mike McCarthy, he's going to now. Obviously, this guy ain't going to be starting, but Andy Dalton's on a 1-year deal. Develop Ben DiNucci, try to get him going. It might take a couple of years, but that will be your backup quarterback right behind Dak Prescott.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at that at all. I wouldn't be mad at that at all. The Go to Goats is in the chat box. Shango, what is up, bro? He is the one that we all look up to when we get into this thing. Shango, shout out to you, brother. Appreciate you, man.
I got to meet Shango at training camp. Got a picture with him. Very, very humble guy. Been following him for years. In my late teens, early 20s, and Go to Goats for sure. Had a pleasure of meeting him. Very nice guy.
Yeah, awesome guy. I love his post game shows, especially if the Cowboys lose. I can feel that passion because I'm the same way. I can feel it when he get. We all hate to lose, but I love watching him when he gets on there. Shango, definitely the Go to Goats, bro. Gotta have him on the show. We'll get you on here, Shango, man. We gotta link up, man.
Oh, cocky.
Where can I watch the game? Which game, Warren? Are you talking about the scrimmage? They didn't really show the scrimmage. They might do the replay, but it's not going to be anything but reruns of the interviews. That's all the scrimmage was. They went and showed a lot of B-roll footage, interviews, kind of expanding on some of the interviews with coaches and that kind of thing. Visors and helmets running across the screen. That's all they showed. So he really didn't miss anything, Warren, which was unfortunate. But it's the day that we're living in.
Yeah, and no preseason games. As a fan, you want to be angry, but you also got to look at the bright side of it. Hiding the younger players. No names, no jersey numbers, not showing anything on a national televised practice, so to speak. And this is what you want out of a head coach in Mike McCarthy. This right here could win championships.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, this team needs a championship mindset, and I think with McCarthy in here, a leader of men. I think this is the biggest difference. And I talked about this last season whenever things were starting to fall off the wheels. It was just time. We just need that one piece. You need that one piece of the puzzle to get you over the hump. I think the Cowboys are in good shape moving forward for sure. Shango, love the Cowboys YouTube channel, is by far the best on the internet. I agree, Shango. Yeah. I think the Cowboys community has a very, very good, variety of different, content creator. We're doing a lot of collaborations all over the place. It's a lot of fun being a Cowboys YouTube, and we definitely have the best fan base.
Yeah, definitely. And Shango, we talked about it being the OG. Dallas Cowboy football news all started because of Shango, and I mean the guy put a footprint in there, and you've seen Lull Nation, Vox Lombardi, Dallas Cowboy Universe, all these guys just take off, and I would rather watch Cowboy YouTubers than any media site because it's raw, it's real, it's authentic, and they're a fan just like me.
Yeah, that's the best part of it, man. The authenticity is really what brings everything together. You gotta love that. Let's see what else we got in the chat box, guys. I think we got everybody's questions. Let's see. Seconds on. Clearly, injuries are going to determine our season. Yeah, it's going to determine a lot of the teams around here. The attrition, the battle of your depth. You really got to have your depth. It's got to be on point, not only for injury but COVID infection, right? So you got to be on a 14-day IR list if you happen to get infected. So those are the two things we'll be keeping an eye on during the season. But the Cowboys are looking good so far, man. The Cowboys have put themselves in good shape by hiring the right coach to lead this team, and everything that they're going to do is about winning, right?
Everything we're going to do is about winning. And when Mike McCarthy said that, he said personally and on the field, which means you're going to win on the field, you're going to win off the field. That's the mindset. That's better than having the right kind of guys. You got to start building that winning mentality. Quit playing from behind. Quit playing games close. Go out there and just cut throats on offense and on defense.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Richard Hernandez, will fans be allowed to Cowboys games? Yeah, so Jerry Jones already reached out to Governor Abbott, the Texas governor. He has already green-lighted that this will be possible. I think the threshold is 50% capacity for right now. Now,
which means 44,000 fans.
That's a lot, because we already know AT&T Stadium, the capacity is up in the 90. They can even expand to 100K if they want. But yeah, as it is right now, that's pretty good amount. That's going to be a big crowd.
Big and it's going to be in a pod setting where families that might not know each other, they're not going to be close. So NFL is going to do everything. Number one, for the player safety, and number two, for the fans, who's going to bring in some type of revenue to help that salary cap hit in 2021.
Yeah. Let's see what we got here. Expectations, Solomon. Expectations for Aldon. So how many sacks y'all predicting for Aldon? Mike, I'll let you take this one here first. What you got for the number, Aldon Smith?
I'm going to be honest. 1-year deal, 5 years, no NFL. I'm going to go with 8 sacks. I'm not going to put him in double digits. He still has to get his feet underneath him. With yes, the practice, all this stuff can be great. He's not sacking quarterbacks. He's playing tag. So really, I think we'll see the real, and he put more weight on too. More weight equals more muscle. But I'm going to say 8 sacks for Aldon Smith.
Yeah, that's a good number. It's a realistic number. We know Everson Griffin had 8 just a season before. So I think between the two, if you can get 8 and 8 out of them, that's a 16 sack improvement. I mean, it's a good addition. But the Everson Griffin addition, I think, is the one that's really gonna bring everything home for the Cowboys. I think he can have an opportunity to get double digits. This defense definitely has the opportunity to be elite. No doubt.
They do.
Yeah. All right, guys. But I think that's where we're at right now. Put in a good hour of content for you guys. Gave you the latest updates from the scrimmage. I know we were all disappointed with the Cowboys' decision to not show anything. But, as fans, I think, we're good. We understand it. We know the reason. Whatever it takes to get that Lombardi, man. I don't even care. I'm not even mad. I was disappointed, but I'm on board. I am fully on board with McCarthy and everything that he's about. And if this was part of it, which it sounds like it was, let's rock and roll, man. Let's rock and roll.
Yes. Thank you guys for, coming in here, commenting, watching us, deliver some updates. Yes. The blue and white scrimmage was clickbait from the Dallas Cowboy media. They hyped it up.
Yeah.
We got nosebleed seats on the internet.
Yeah.
Don't ask me, with the poll in front of us, right? Yeah. So we try to break it down as much as possible. I think, Joe, thank you. I think you did a great job. And Frisco report on Tuesday.
Frisco report will be back on Tuesday, guys, and I think Tuesday's show might focus more on a 53-man roster projection. So we'll break down the news of the day, but that may be the focus for that show. But keep an eye on that one, guys. Make sure you come back Tuesday. Mike, let everybody know where they can find you if they haven't already.
Yeah, absolutely. Cowboys Corner right here on YouTube, or you can go to www.thefriscoreport.com. Click on the YouTube link there. It'll take you right to my channel. _ Cowboys Corner on Twitter. The link's on there too, guys. Subscribe. I got content coming, I promise. I know I've been MIA, but I'm doing the Frisco Report. I do got a day job, but it's all fun and games. But the season is only 14 days away, Joe.
Yeah, 15 days away. That's a big thing.
14.
And, we're 14. Just count the days down. We're almost there. By the time we know it, we'll be there. We'll be talking about the Rams and that kind of thing. So next week, lots of content for you guys. It's gonna be fun. Final days of practice. Frisco Report on Tuesday. 53-man roster projection, and then we'll analyze the final cuts. So lots to talk about this week, guys. Appreciate everybody that jumped in here in the chat box. Everybody watching live, we appreciate the love. We appreciate, and we can see the growth of the channel and the Frisco Report. Thank you, everybody out there. Shout out to all you guys. We can't do it without you. We'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace, everybody.